So, good morning to one and all. My name is Abhimanyu Reddy, and my registration number is 18BC0274. My serial number is 17. So, this is the digital assignment one of the computer organization and architecture that is being done under the guidance of Professor Dhanabal R. Sir. So, this assignment is regarding taking an IC and answering the various questions that is related to it. So I have chosen the IC Atmega 128A AU that is manufactured by Atmel, which is now also known as Microchip Technology. So coming to your first question, we need to draw a clear block diagram of the microprocessor or the microcontroller that we have selected. So this is the block diagram. The orange represents the power sources, black represents the ground, the blue represents the digital, green analog, and all the other pins on the right side represent the external memory pins. So these are the pin descriptions. The VCC represents the digital supply voltage. GND is ground. So these are the various ports that are being numbered. So port A from PA7 to PA0. So it's a 8-bit directional input-output port with the internal pull-up resistors. In similar way, there are many ports: port B, BB7 to BB0, port C, port D, port E, port F, port G, and there are also other things like a reset input. Low level on this pin for longer than minimum pulse length will generate a reset even if the clock is not running. So this is XTAL1 input to the inverting oscillator and XTAL2 output from the inverting oscillator. And this is AVCC. AVCC is basically the supply voltage pin for port F and the AD converter. It should be externally connected to VCC. And AREF is the analog reference pin. PEN is a programmable enable pin for the SPI, that is the serial programming mode. So this is the internal diagram of each and every block that is present in the microcontroller. And so here, this is regarding providing the instruction set of the microprocessing element with the clock cycle, machine cycle, and the memory required and the flags affected. So these are the various instruction set that has been acquired from the datasheet of Atmega 128A AU. So these are all the instruction sets. So basically, summing up all this, there are totally 5 categories of instructions. That is arithmetic logic instructions, which consists of 28 instructions, branch instructions, which consists of 36 instructions, bit and bit test instructions, which again consists of 28 instructions, data transfer instructions, which consists of 35 instructions, MCU control instructions having only 4 instructions. So it has this Atmega 128A AU has a total of 131 instructions. The third question is regarding explaining the microprocessing element architecture. So it is based on the advanced RISC architecture. So these are the various features regarding its architecture. So fully static operational, 16 MIPS through 16 megahertz cycle on a chip of 2-cycle multiplier. So and so on. High endurance, non-volatile memory segments, JTAG interference, Atmel QTouch library support. These are the various peripheral features. These are the special microcontroller features, that is power on and reset and programmable brownout detection, internal calibrated RC oscillator, external and internal interrupted sources, sleep modes, software selectable clock frequency, Atmega 103 compatibility, global pull-up disable input-output packages, 53 programmable input-output lines, 64 LED TQFP and 64 pad QFN and MLF. These are the operating voltages, that is minus 2.7 to 5.5 voltage, and these are the speed grids 0 to 16 megahertz, that's the clock cycle speeds. Now correlate the microprocessing element architecture with the architecture discussed in module 1 and 2. So basically, this AVR, that is the Atmega 128A AU, uses the Harvard architecture, and the architecture that discussed in the module 1 and 2 is von Neumann architecture. So Harvard architecture diagram and von Neumann architecture diagram. So this name is originated from Harvard Mark I and a relay-based old computer. It is so von Neumann architecture is named after the mathematician and early computer scientist John von Neumann. So Harvard architecture requires two memories for the instruction and data. Von Neumann architecture requires only one. So Harvard architecture design is very complicated, whereas the architecture of von Neumann design is very simple. So Harvard SAPRA architecture is required for the data and instruction. Von Neumann architecture is required only one bus and instruction for the data. The processor instruction is only one cycle. The processor requires a two clock cycle to complete an instruction. Uh, in Harvard architecture, it is easier to pipeline, so high performance can be achieved. That's not the case in von Neumann architecture, as it has a low performance compared to Harvard architecture. Harvard architecture is comparatively high cost, whereas von Neumann is cheaper. So, elaborating the register organization of microprocessing element. AVI CPU general purpose working registers. So, these are the general purpose registers. The X register for low byte, X register for high byte, and similarly for Y register and the Z register. So, most of the instructions operating on the register file have direct access to all registers, and most of them are single instructions. Although not being physically implemented as SRAM locations, this memory organization provides great flexibility in access of the registers. Like the X, Y, and Z pointer registers can be set to index any register in the file. So this is basically the general purpose working register architecture. And the X register, Y register, and Z register have added some functions to the general purpose usage. These registers are 16-bit address pointers for indirecting address of the data space. The three indirect address registers X, Y, and Z are defined as described in the following figure. So X register XH and XL, Y register YH and YL, Z register ZH and ZL. So discussing the program memory, the AVI microcontrollers contain an on-chip system reprogrammable flash. So for software security, the flash program memory is divided into two sections: bootloader and application program section in the device, and EEPROM data memory. Same way SRAM data memory. So it consists of registers, IO memory, extended IO memory, and internal SRAM. So these are the various register species: IO memory, extended IO memory, general purpose IO registers. Now coming to the sixth question, explain the type of algorithm used for signed and unsigned calculations. So for unsigned multiplication, this is the algorithm description. So basically, the algorithm for the code size optimization version is as follows. Clear result high bit, load loop counter with 8, shift right multiplier. If carry, set add multiple high result high byte, shift result high byte into result low byte multiplier, shift result low byte multiplier, decrement loop counter. If the loop counter is not 0, then go back to step 4. So this is the flowchart implementation of that algorithm. So clear byte high result, loop counter, shift multiplier right, carry set, shift right result high byte, and etc. Then back to return. So for sign multiplication, there is an algorithm description: clear result high byte and carry, load loop counter with 8. So set add multiplicand to result high byte. If current bit 0 of multiplier set, subtract multiplicand from result high byte. So like that. If the loop counter is not 0, then return back to step 3. So this is the flow chart. Clear result high byte and carry, loop counter, carry, bit 0 of multiplier set, then go back to subtract multiplicand from result high byte, shift result high byte, shift right result low byte and multiplier. The loop counter is 0, then return back to step 3. Algorithm description for unsigned division. So clear remainder and carry, load loop counter with 9, shift left dividend into carry. If loop counter is 0, then return and set carry and go back to step 3. Same, this is a flowchart of that, of the same algorithm. So signed division algorithm description. So we are using a logic gate for this. There's an XOR dividend and divisor and store in a signed register. If MSB is of dividend set, negate dividend. If MSB is divisor set, negate dividend. So like that, load loop counter with 9, shift left dividend into carry, decrement loop counter. If loop counter is 1 by 4 to 0, go back to step 11. If MSB of signed register set, negate result, return, shift left carry into remainder, subtract divisor from remainder. If the result is negative, add back divisor, clear carry, and again go back to step 6 Otherwise, set carry and go to step 6. Same way, this is a flowchart of the given algorithm. So find what type of control logic unit is used and correlated to perform with the type of control unit in module 3. So basically the control logic unit here is Natural Vectored Interrupt Controller, NVIC. The control unit is digitally circuitry contained within the processor that coordinates the sequence of data movements. So basically what it does, it interrupts alerts the central processing unit to an occurrence such as a time-based event. So when an interrupt occurs, an interrupt signal is generated, which causes the CPU to stop its current operation, save its current state, and begin the processing program, referred to as an interrupt service routine associated with the interrupt. When the interrupt processing is complete, the CPU restores its previous state and resumes where it left off. So NVIC is a method prioritizing improving the MCU's performance and reducing the interrupt latency. So NVIC supports implementation-defined number of units in the range of 1 to 240 interrupts, a programmable priority of 0 to 255 for each interrupt, level and pulse detection of interrupt signals, dynamic reprioritization of interrupts, grouping of priority values into group priority and sub-priority fields, an external non-maskable interrupt NMI, optional WIC, providing ultra-low power sleep mode support. The eighth question is about explaining the memory management system in the processing element selected and listing its addressing capabilities, memory mapping technique followed, finding the advantage of memory design and memory management techniques over the concepts given in module 4 in the COA syllabus. So basically the AER architecture has two main memory spaces, the data memory and the program memory. So in addition, the Atmega features an EEPROM for data storage. All three memory spaces are linear and regular. So this is the description of the program memory that contains 128 bytes on chip in system reprogrammed flash memory for program storage. So for software security, the flash program memory space is divided into sections: root program section and application program section, as discussed earlier. So the flash memory has an endurance of at least 10,000 write or erase cycles. The Atmega 128A program counter PC is 16 bits wide. So this is the basically a diagram or a block diagram of that program memory. So EEPROM data memory. So data electrically erasable program memory is a read-only memory that is organized as a separate data space. So the EEPROM has an endurance of at least 1 lakh write erase cycles. So this is the SRAM memory as discussed earlier, which has registers, IO memory, external and internal SRAM, register space, IO memory, extended IO memory, internal SRAM data that is used for temporarily storing intermediate results and variables within a software application. So this is the block diagram of memory configuration A and memory configuration B. So addressing modes, there are 5 different data bus addressing modes for the data memory of Atmega 128A. There's direct, indirect with displacement, indirect with pre-decrement, indirect with post-increment. Coming to the ninth question, elaborating the pipeline and parallel processing capabilities of the unit and hazard management technique. So pipelining is basically the process of accumulating instruction from the processor through pipeline. It allows a strong and executing instructions in an orderly process. It's also known as pipeline processing. So pipelining is actually a technique where multiple instructions are overlapped during execution. Pipeline is divided into stages, and these stages are connected with one another to a form of a pipe-like structure. Instructions enter from one and exit from the other end, so that it goes in a smooth and organized form. Pipelining increases the overall instruction throughput. So basically, pipelining increases the overall instruction throughput. In pipeline system, each segment consists of an input register followed by combinational circuit. The register is used to hold data and combinational circuit performs operations on it. So the output of combinational circuit is applied to the input register of the next segment. So this is basically a basic block diagram. So pipeline system is like the modern day assembly line setup in factories. For example, car manufacturing industries or huge assembly lineups like that. There are robotic arms to perform a certain task. So types of pipeline. Pipeline is basically divided into two categories: arithmetic pipeline and instruction pipeline. So arithmetic pipeline are usually found in most of the computers, like floating point operators, multiplication of fixed point numbers like that. Instruction pipeline is a steam It's a stream of instruction that can be executed by overlapping fetch, decode, and execute phases. So parallel processing and data transfer modes in a computer system. So instead of processing each instruction sequentially, a parallel processing system provides concurrent data processing to increase the execution time. So in the system may have two or more ALUs and should be able to execute two or more instructions at the same time. There is a throughput. Throughput is the basically the number of instructions that can be executed in a unit of time. So parallel processing can be viewed from various levels of complexity. At the lowest level, we distinguish between parallel and serial operations, and then at the higher level, complexity parallel processing can be achieved by using multiple function units. So this is the basic block diagram of a processor with multiple functional units: adder, subtractor, integer multiplier, logic unit, shift unit, incrementer, floating point, adder, subtractor, floating point multiplier, floating point divide. So the data transfer modes of a computer system is mainly divided into four major groups: SISD, that is single instruction stream, single data stream; SIMD, single instruction stream, multiple data stream; MISD, multiple instruction stream and single data stream; and multiple instruction stream and multiple data stream, that's MIMD. So these are the various descriptions of all those categories. So the hazard management technique or the control hazard is actually a new method through which we can prevent control hazard and determine the occurrence and non-occurrence of a conditional branch. So there is an auxiliary processor in this new pipeline processor architecture as shown. The main processor fetches the simple instruction except conditional branch, and the auxiliary processor will be inactive. So when the execution of a branch instruction reaches of the end of the X stage, it will be shown that the processor followed the correct or the incorrect path. The unit which has been chosen correct path becomes main unit and fetches and executes the next instruction in order, and the other units become inactive, remaining as auxiliary units. So this is the basic block diagram of that: the auxiliary unit, the control unit, and the register file and the functional units. So coming to the last question, finding whether the processor level parallelism is available in the element selected or not. Yes, the processor at Mega 128AU has a processor level parallelism is available in that and is present in the selected one. So the cache coherence, is the consistency of the shared resource data that ends up stored in multiple local caches. So in the illustration given below, we can find that the client on the top has a copy of the memory block from a present read, and the client on the bottom changes that memory block. The client on top could be left with coherence that is intended to manage such conflicts. So this is the block diagram of an invalid cache of memory without any notification of the change. So coherence protocols. Coherence protocols apply cache coherence in multi-process systems. The intention is that two clients must never see different values for the same shared data. The protocol must implement the basic requirements of the coherence. It can be tailor-made for the target system. And write invalidate is a write operation that is observed to a location that a cache has a copy of. The cache controller invalidates its own copy of the snooped memory location, which forces a read from main memory of the new value on its next access. Write updates. When a write operation is observed to a location that a cache has a copy of, the cache controller updates its own copy of the snooped memory location with the new data. If the protocol design states that whenever any copy of the shared data is changed, all the other copies must be updated to reflect the change. However, scalability is one of the shortcomings or disadvantages of these broadcast protocols.